Well, good morning. Hope you're well. Hope you're going to have a good weekend. Your weekend was terrific. I like this idea of thinking about the great words of our faith. I talked about the psalm where it says, the unfolding of your word gives me light. And I love that because each word, if I think about it, it just spreads through everything. And then in the end, they're connected to each other. And in the end, they're almost the same. It's a lot like music, where I have, you have a chord, and there's infinite possibilities. It's vibrating in so many different ways. And, we do this basic, but the chords they can just... But you can go, and it's the same with the words of God. They used to go flying wherever you want. It's beautiful. I love that God gave me music to understand my faith. It really makes me feel good. And so the word that I was thinking about this week is gratitude. And I think about it seems, yes, to be grateful is a good thing. And it's not the same as thankful. I've come to realize that I'm thankful when something nice happens, or if I receive a nice gift, but I'm grateful for things that have happened to me in faith. And I think that's the gratitude that God is looking for. It comes, I think, with humility, which is, of course, the centerpiece of good faith. So I was thinking about gratitude. I was thinking, sometimes I think about how clever is the devil, and that he gets you coming and going, and he really can't lose in this world because it's his world, and you just can't win. And so if he doesn't trip you up by thinking you should be good, he gets you because you did something that was bad. And either way, and it's very frustrating because we tend to think that we're fighting Satan. And if we fight a good fight against Satan, God will love us. And what I've come to realize, and this is where my first sense of gratitude came from, is that I only have to endure Satan. God fights him. And in fact, it's not even a fight, right? We know there's no chance for Satan. But this world is very real. And even though in faith we know after your short life, it's going to be beyond imagining. Nonetheless, this short life is full of a lot of frustration, and it's real. And that's, of course, another beautiful thing, and I'm grateful for that. I think in terms of my body and my mind, which I consider to be my soul, because my body is a pretty finite thing. And I like it. I was considering, it's what it says, it's the temple of God. And I said, well, that's wow, so I should maybe never do bad things. But I got to think more about it. And it's just as God resides in me. It also says that, right? Jesus says that he and the Father will take up residence in a humble heart. And I said, wow, I love that. And in the heart, of course, then is inside of my body. And so I appreciate my body, from birth to death. It just gets you through everything. If it gets knocked back, it heals for the most part. If it can't do one thing, it compensates. It's so, we're fearfully made, is what God says. And I said, wow, you have to have a tough body. And yet the body is just for 70 years. But what's in the body? This is what where my gratitude is, that the things that happen to us, sometimes our bodies bear a mark of it. But it's our soul, it's our mind that it has to endure it, even after your body wears out. And so I like to think the body is not so important, but it must be important. And I was just thinking that, in a way, our bodies get old and they eventually wear out and you die. But our minds get younger. They get younger and younger as you go, because the more you embrace God and you understand gratitude, you become old enough to be thankful for the things that happen to you, because the older you get, the more you can understand and the more you can put it to good use, and the more you feel alive and want to play chords and go flying. And I was always thinking that's a great thing too, that even though your body gets older, your your mind, your soul is getting younger and younger, right? And what does that mean? You go younger and younger to the point of what? To the point of God. The essence, the beginning of all creation. Those are kind of the things that roll around in my brain. I was thinking, what happens when we don't think that we can accept God's forgiveness? And this is, of course, a great tool of Satan, right? When we think we've done something wrong so many times, or we failed so many times, that, I just can't believe I can be forgiven. And what a dangerous place that is, because if you accept that, then you can no longer be grateful. And so to be grateful is to be thankful that you're always forgiven. And to me, that makes me feel very humble, because my perspective to everybody around me and to God is, I can't believe I'm not going to get kicked out. Because we all have these things, right? We all have these things. And I guess you should have these things where, how is it that I can be forgiven? How is it that I can be forgiven? And of course, the essence of faith is just that, is that the only thing you can be is forgiven. And if you don't accept forgiveness, you don't accept God. And wow, and it seems, then I'll just be forgiven. But it's real, isn't it? And there's a part of us that just doesn't think it. And that led me to, I can't pray unless I accept forgiveness. And I love to pray because I love to talk to God. And you can't talk to God unless you've accepted his forgiveness, which means you have to see yourself as you are, not really much. But then when you talk to God, you can ask him for great things, like for other people to be freed of suffering. You don't want to talk to God and all you're saying is, and then if you give me this, and then I would like if you gave me that, and if you took that. It's impossible to pray for those things. You can only pray, that you become aware that your forgiveness is priceless, and it's the only thing that matters. And then because of that, because of the gratitude of that, you can pray. And isn't that really the only thing we can do? I know this is Martin Luther King, and I know we're talking about the rights of black people and all these things. And as a Christian, we think, how could you be prejudiced? How could you not think someone has all the rights you have? How can a man be greater than a woman? How can there be any sense of inequality? We're all just so equal, but we're only equal when we're kneeling before God. And if you can maintain that, then you learn how to treat other people. And that's really all we can do. We really can't get rid of prejudice. And it's impossible. We cannot get rid of poverty. We cannot. But God can. And we just become part of that process. And then, so the thing you're doing is what God wants you to do for his great process of finally eradicating all of the unfairness. And for myself, I find myself having gratitude for all the things that happened to me. And when I was younger, I resented them. And now that I'm older, I accept them. I had a great conversation with my son a couple of weeks ago, and it was that I don't mock God, and I don't take lightly the fact that when he hurts you, it's to heal you. And he's at a point where he hasn't quite realized that. And that's, you respect that. You have to come to it on your own. You can't tell someone, listen, this is what it's got to be. It took me, I don't know, like 60, going to be 61. So it took me this many years to be grateful for all the things that God did to me, because he was doing them for me. And never was it, the devil did this to me or any of that. It was God. And because he's good, we talked about loving kindness and steadfastness. We talked about that. When you realize that, you feel so great. You feel like you could just fly because you can just give up on the pettiness and the anger. And also, on the sadness. You don't have to dwell on the misery of the world, right? Even though the political factions. What is the second psalm? Is God says, why are the nations in an uproar? Why are they all so? What do they think? And he says, God laughs at this, you know. And here we are living in this, and it's right. And then, of course, don't look down at the water, Paul or Peter. Look up at me, otherwise he sank, right? So just look at God. We can't fix the world, but if you look at God and you realize that He's forgiven you, and because of that, you're just fine. Then you can be nice to everyone around you. And this is a grassroots, right? And if everyone's nice to everyone, then you cover the whole world. But I can't say to people on the other side of the world, hey, listen, do this, or don't do that, or how dare you think that? All I can do is be nice to the people that God has put me amongst. And I couldn't do that had I not gone through some crummy things, because that's how I realized that God forgave me. And that's how my gratitude became so real that I know how to behave. I know how to live in God, and I would give nothing in exchange for it. And every word you read in the Bible is true. It couldn't be a better word for it. Even the things you don't understand. I read things and I say, I don't understand that. And I say, but it's beautiful, because those words are powerful, very specific words. And I know I just don't understand it. But the things I do understand make me trust the things that I don't understand, because I trust God. I don't trust myself. And so gratitude, I think, what is a more beautiful thing than to be grateful to God, because without it, you can't be with God. And I ended all of this because it was just Christmas. Jesus only lives in a manger. He didn't go to hotels or inns, right? He was born in a manger. And we are the temple of God. We are mangers. We are just a place where animals can seek refuge, or you can place to get out of a storm. It's just a temporary shelter. But if He's in there, you have everything you need and everything you'd want. And so that gave me, I can't even tell you how great I felt when I realized that. I'm a manger. Anyway, that's it. I hope you have a great week, and we'll pick another great word of faith for next week.